Once part of a sprawling wilderness called Mosquito County, Seminole today is part of one of the fastest growing regions in our country. A mix of residential and rural, we're now trying to sustain the best of our natural systems so that the legacy of our landscape may continue to nourish our lives. Conservation programs are essential to protecting our aquifer and our surface waters, including our unique rivers, wetlands, and springs. The Seminole Soil and Water Conservation District administers 20 such programs, most of which rely on the dedication and skill of local grassroots volunteers. Last year, those volunteers devoted over 5,760 hours, resulting in a financial benefit of $86,000 to Seminole County. Highlights of those programs include teaching educational gardens. Elementary and middle school students and teachers plant real gardens to help them graphically learn how a healthy landscape saves water and underpins an ecology that attracts native birds and butterflies.
This is a gathering place. It's a place where kids come every morning. They sit on the benches, they see the butterflies. They're out here during class. Different classes, our art classes, come out here and sit around the butterfly garden and inside of it and do some of their art projects. It's a learning environment, but also it's a place that kids can come and enjoy, and adults.
This could not have been possible without the SWCD. They brought in the flowers, they brought in the know-how. I had no idea what kind of flowers to put, even the decoration, the design of this. They really, they poured their heart and soul into this, and I never could have done this without them.
Managing the Cameron Ranch. The Cameron Ranch is a vital piece in the puzzle of publicly owned conservation land on the St. Johns River system. The district contracts for ranch management, assuring that best management practices are used to sustain the native landscape and abate pollution into Lake Jessup.
This tract's about 1,200 acres. We're running a cow-calf operation here. It's a very light footprint. We've only got 180 cattle on this entire tract. I'm their leasee on this grazing lease. We have a very good working relationship, good communications with them, and they're a very good group to work with. You know, there's only so much land left in Florida now in agriculture. We're losing acre after acre every year to development. And in my opinion, there's nothing any more important than food production agriculture. And this is just a cog in the wheel that we're doing here in that food production scheme.
Well, I think that it is a green space, even though it is a working farm, and that's kind of the great thing about it, is it can have two uses. It can be productive and provide an environmental buffer in the constant urban sprawl that's happening, especially in Seminole County.
Publishing Eden to Sahara. Long out of print, this environmental classic first alerted Floridians to the dangers of draining wetlands. Realizing the modern relevance of its message, the district enlisted professional writers and scientists to bring it back to publication.
Since one of the main focuses of the Seminole Soil and Water Conservation District is to educate the public, we felt that it was imperative for us to republish this environmental classic From Eden to Sahara by John Kunkel Small.
The Water Conservation District is doing a wonderful job by taking this otherwise basically unknown book. It disappeared after the late 20s, and bringing it to light and exposing not only the interesting scientific notes that Dr. Small presented, but also in capturing a little bit of history and reminding us that we don't live in isolation. People 80 years ago had ideas of what we were going to see today, and for the most part they were right. A rapidly changed Florida from what occurred in his time.
Because his book was truly one of the landmarks in regard to environmental history in Florida.
Some of what we read about the changes that were taking place in the 1920s, you would think they were written last year. So we tried to take that perspective from the 20s, put it in today's language, maybe even today's vernacular with respect to ecological issues, and capture that in the introduction.
Educating homeowners about water-wise yards. Water-wise yards help homeowners understand the wisdom and economy of using plants that need very little water. Homeowners who landscape this way help markedly reduce groundwater consumption in Seminole County.
And a lot of people truly don't understand how much water their yards use. We'll be driving down the street and we'll be in the middle of a thunderstorm and we'll see all these sprinklers on. Well, there's absolutely no purpose of this, so that's part of it. We teach them to make sure they understand how to use their timers and that we can save them a substantial amount of money.
The purpose is to encourage people to reduce their lawns and increase choosing right plants for the right place. So not necessarily drought-tolerant plants, because you might have a wet area in your yard, so you want to choose a plant that likes water. And the whole point is to reduce water consumption, because it can be anywhere from 50% at a minimum to, in some communities in Seminole County, up to 80% of their monthly water bill is for outdoor landscaping.
The WaterWise Yards program is an outreach where we go into homeowner associations and educate them on how to landscape their yards in a more WaterWise friendly way. And our purpose is to give them the tools that they need. We give them WaterWise Yards articles. We evaluate their homeowner covenants so that they can incorporate those WaterWise techniques in a more efficient way.
I believe the activities and programs sponsored by the Seminole Soil and Water Conservation are worthwhile. Otherwise, I would not be donating my time. I'm especially pleased that the Conservation District has the WaterWise program that goes out to the Homeowners Association to show how using water-friendly plants, i.e. they don't need much water, native plants can actually increase the value of the neighborhood and not decrease it, as well as reduce the expense of maintaining a yard, since native plants don't need a lot of water and don't need fertilizers and pesticides.
Forging relationships with cooperating agencies. In this vital program, we build cooperative relationships with governmental and community organizations to make conservation strategies more effective. Partners include county and city governments, federal and state agencies or departments, soil and water conservation districts, citizens groups, and corporations. One of these community groups is the Friends of Lake Jessup.
We're starting to accomplish some things because, as important as the individual is, there are times when people have to come together as a group and get something done that a single individual can't do.
When I was a kid, you could find sandy bottom almost everywhere. You climb a cypress tree and see bass bedding on the bottom. I can remember a 10-pound bass tail walking around the boat, you know, after my dad hooked him on a shiner. And that's a thing of the past, and hopefully a thing of the future. Right now, it simply doesn't exist. Lake Jessup is full of nutrients. It's over-rich. It's not a dead lake. And we need to bring it into a balance.
We're working to try to resolve some of those issues by working with the Friends of Lake Jessup, who have spent many years trying to come up with solutions.
A jump shot for conservation. Hundreds of thousands of NBA basketball fans are exposed to the mission of the district during a special night devoted to soil and water conservation.
Well, we're here tonight because this is the first of 6 outreach booths that the Soil and Water Conservation District is putting together. The purpose of our outreach booths is to educate and also converse with the people of Seminole County, letting them know WaterWise tips, WaterWise yards, and to catch them up on our programs that we're doing right now.
Sustaining a regional watershed. This is our most important and unique regional conservation effort. The Watershed Improvement District is being studied for the development of a plan to manage land and water resources within the Black Hammock community on the shores of Lake Jessup.
Soil and water boards were created in the 30s. Ours was actually chartered in the 40s, and it was predominantly a means of educating rural Americans on how to preserve their land and water resources. In the more urban environment, our tasks are a little bit more difficult, and what we did is we were researching the statutes to try to find solutions for some of our current problems. And we came across a statute which would allow us to create a watershed improvement district. And that would put the hundreds of property owners in that district in a position to chart their own destiny.
And the Soil and Water Conservation District has come along with to give us more education, opportunity, an ear to the government.
We've been in an association that's been trying to address issues and influence governmental bodies who make decisions that could affect us, but we haven't as yet created any kind of legal standing because we're a group of homeowners and landowners in what is this roughly 16 square mile wooded hammock.